This is the Yanks Go Yard podcast with Adam Weinrib and Thomas Carinante.
Welcome to the Yanks Go Yard podcast. I'm Adam Weinrib alongside Thomas Carinante. What's the point? What is the point? The New York Yankees played another series against a team with a winning record. They won one game in that series. They lost that series. It was like kind of an okay series, I guess, by their recent standards. The Saturday game was great. It's like something you build momentum off of. It was like the kind of game that you put in your back pocket and say, wow, we won a huge one. But then also, no, it wasn't, because the bullpen blew a 4-2 lead in the 8th inning, and Camilo Doval was a big part of blowing that. So, like, actually, was that game good? I mean, they came up clutch. A guy who's walking at the end of the year in free agency came up clutch. He always does. People wanted to trade Trent Grisham this year in the middle of a playoff race. Godspeed. Godspeed to all of you. But they won exactly one game. Carlos Correa and Jose Altuve hit over 500. The Astros hit a home run in the first inning of every single game. They, took an early advantage and took it to the Yankees repeatedly. Devin Williams, after proving in the Texas series that he is not allowed to come into close games or high leverage anymore, came into close games and high leverage and lost a game. Aaron Boone managed like he was George Costanza, trying to get fired, dragging the World Series trophy around behind his car, driving through the parking lot and getting wing sauce on Lou Gehrig's game-worn jersey. And Aaron Boone showed a lot of emotion after David Bednar secured a 1-2-3 save in Saturday's game, sort of putting his hands together like rock, paper, scissors or whatever that was. And then on Sunday, they played the most lifeless game of the series of the month, with Max Fried on the mound against a 32-year-old journeyman with a 6 ERA. So here we are going into a Twins series, and a lot of fans are taking the Twins lightly because that's what Yankee fans do, and that's what the Yankees do. The Yankees used to beat the Twins because they intimidated them, and let's see if they can continue to do that. They haven't intimidated anyone in months. They are 20-31 since early June. They're a bad baseball team. I think I figured them out. Thomas Carinante, welcome to the show. I think they're just bad. They're bad. But good news, everyone. Win or lose, they will be at worst tied for a playoff spot later tonight because the Cleveland Guardians are off. So huge. That's just massive and very exciting. I think you are muted. What is there to say? What a great time to be monologuing about the New York Yankees, quite frankly. A team that I've never been less passionate about, and a team that used to mean something, everything, a lot to me, and now means, just means, my favorite days are the off days, quite frankly. It just means a team that I try to defend and I get in online arguments about, and they're pretty indefensible. Like, sometimes they objectively do good things, and those good things don't work. Oftentimes, they objectively do poorly thought out things, and those things also fail. An example of that on Friday, when, I think, so I'm going to rage, I'm sure plenty this offseason. I'm going to rage about Brendan Jones a lot, but I'm also just going to use him as an example of what the Yankees do not do and what the Yankees should do more often. In times of trouble, in times like 2023 and most of 2024 and a good portion of 2025, and yes, they made the World Series last year, but they were exposed in the World Series on the national stage. People are now getting a lot of mileage out of saying, wow, Yankee fans really love to complain, Yankee fans love to complain during the moments of sorrow, and it's convenient for them to say that things don't work at the minor league level, when things aren't working at the major league level. So where were you speaking when the Yankees did graduate people or when they were playing well? They haven't really played well in 3 years, if not longer. They haven't graduated someone who's had a consistently easy on-ramp since way before that, especially on the offensive side of things. And so all these criticisms of, you just want to listen to criticisms of the minor league development program and people saying that they only teach exit velocity and don't teach situational hitting or fundamentals. You guys only want to listen to that because the big league team looks awful. Yeah, we do only want to listen to that because the big league team looks awful, but the big league team has also looked awful in these respects for a half decade now. So forgive us for wondering if there's something worth criticizing at the lower levels. Brendan Jones is hitting .240 with an OPS in the 750s this year. He's been a good player. He's made it to Double-A coming out of Kansas State as a mid-round draft pick last year. He is, for all intents and purposes, everyone agrees that he's like a Brett Gardner type. scrappy, annoying, pest. And I was like, man, I wonder if he's a great situational hitter too. I don't even need to look this up, but I'm sure he is. And you look at his splits, and he's hitting 357 with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. Because of course he is. Because he's the type of player who does that. Because he's the type of player the Yankees ignore in favor of high exit velocity, big reverse splits in terms of worse in clutch situations like this, or no discernible impact. I'm looking for guys with a discernible impact. And so is that the only thing Brendan Jones does well? No, he's an 800 OPS at AA. He's worth considering as a 4th outfielder next year. But I'm already pretty confident that the Yankees don't prize him, don't care about him, won't be thinking about these kind of splits as they move forward to make roster decisions, and will surely find a way to insert him as the 2nd or 3rd piece in a trade that bombs, like they did with Caleb Durbin in the Devin Williams deal, like it looks like they just did with Rock Riggio in the Jake Bird deal, and like I'm sure they're about to in a 3rd trade that includes Jones as a forgotten piece who ends up thriving somewhere else because he has the intangibles that the Yankees lack. And I can't wait to see which dog shit reliever the Yankees get in exchange for him. And that's where I'm at right now on the grander scheme of things as we drill down on the weekend that was, where the two people who've punked the Yankees forever on the team that has punked the Yankees forever, punked the Yankees twice again in a 3-game series in the Bronx, and the Yankees win a Saturday game that could have reversed everything. The Yankees went 11-3 against Houston in 2023 and 2024. Fun fact. But does it feel like the Yankees own them because of those seasons? No, because the Yankees have no playoff series victories over Houston. And right now, if they finish in the 6th spot in the final wild card, they would go to Houston. So they'll have a chance if everything breaks right for them. But who sees that happening? Certainly not me.
Sorry, guys. I literally had nothing to say.
Oh, you are so back, though.
But yeah, I am back. No, I had a microphone problem because we're essentially the podcasting version of the New York Yankees. This team is bad. That is the assessment.
They're just proven bad. Like I'm done listening to anyone trying to give me splits, and even it's noteworthy that for a while it was like things don't line up. Like when the pitching's good, the offense is bad, but the offense is actually top tier. They just have to get the pitching engaged. Chris Kirshner noted yesterday that the Yankees have the 6th worst offense since the All-Star break.
Yeah.
Is that like a long period of time? I mean, now they're tied after yesterday's game, tied for the 2nd worst offense in terms of WRC plus since the All-Star break. So 3+ weeks, just not good offensively either.
Yeah, no, it's like I said last episode, it's a collection of talented players with absolutely no direction, no strategy, no organization, no attempt to build a certain mentality. Like, look at the Astros, for example. They literally went out at the trade deadline and they got back a player in Carlos Correa because they know that type of player fits their mold. Obviously, they had a lot of previous evidence with that happening because he was an important player for them when he started his career there, cheated with them, won more with them. We all know how it went, but the Astros time and time again have found a way to get by, whether it's with a move as influential as reacquiring Correa, or whether it's having the depth to weather the losses of Kyle Tucker, Alex Bregman, Jose Abreu, Christian Walker, those guys absolutely being terrible. In addition to a number of other injuries, the pitching staff has been battered for most of the year. Hunter Brown steps up and becomes a Cy Young candidate. The bullpen, same type deal. Like, guys go down, they have other people just slot in and start producing. Think about if the Yankees lost anywhere close to the magnitude. I mean, like, Garrett Cole is one. I think Garrett Cole can be a 1-for-1 swap for any of the 3 Astros players that I just mentioned, in Alvarez, Bregman, and Tucker, who were essentially all lost after the 2024 season. Yordan Alvarez played less than a month this year. Mm-hmm. And they are where they are. So if the Yankees had lost 2 of those people, like they lost Garrett Cole and they're already barely a playoff team. If they lost anybody else, like if they didn't have Giancarlo Stanton for the 40 games Giancarlo Stanton's been here for, I don't know where they would be. He's been their best bat for over a month now. So you look at the weekend in its totality. Aaron Boone gets it started off by ruining everything, putting Devin Williams in, and his explanation is fireable. There's no excuse for it. The fact that Mark Leiter Jr. hadn't pitched in X amount of time should hold no bearing on the decision there.
And
Devin Williams,
we're at the point where I think it should be noted that this was like a pitch perfect example of what we as a fan base have grown to detest about Aaron Boone and the way that this team is managed. Going above and beyond to point out that he didn't like the lane and that it was imperfect to have Hadrick and Hill face the batters that they were about to face as lefty relievers. I hear you. I see you. I feel you. Like, less than ideal. Not great. I'd rather not have Brent Hedrick pitching the 10th inning. But you know who can't pitch the 10th inning? Devin Williams.
The only guy who can't.
And Aaron Boone, by the way, if Brent Hedrick comes in and blows the game, you know what Yankee fans are saying? That's annoying. You know what they said when Devin Williams came in and blew the game? You have to be fired. Yeah. You can't manage anymore. That's the kind of move that someone with negative 10 trillion feel for the moment makes. Everyone would forgive Brent Hedrick for getting thrown to the fire and blowing the game. Yeah. No one forgives Devin Williams or anyone who had a part in that mess.
And this is, you want to talk about managing, this is the opposite of managing a distressed asset. Devin Williams can't pitch in high leverage. I don't know how many more times he needs to prove that.
2 outs in the inning, too. It's 3-2, right? It's already not great. We've got a lefty and Taylor Trammell coming up. We can't go to Hill or Hedrick there.
Yeah.
We can't force a pinch hitter, maybe, if they want to go play matchups. Like, no creativity. We're going to make Devin Williams fight through it. Yeah. Yes, Devin Williams can't give up that back-breaking home run, but also he can't start the inning. He can't finish the inning. He can't be involved. That was an insulting managerial move and an unbelievable lack of awareness in terms of what the repercussions would have been if you'd gone with somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, he yanks the first pitch, or puts the runner on third. At that point, the game's over. And then third appearance in a row where I don't know what pitch Devin Williams is throwing. I don't know what that pitch he threw to Taylor Trammell was. Call it a changeup, sure. It was a wiffle ball in the upper inside quadrant of the plate. I don't understand how the execution reaches that level of incompetence, and the fact that Aaron Boone is sitting there and saying, like, oh no, this is the guy we have to throw because I don't like the matchup and because I don't like that this guy hasn't pitched in a while. Or the only thing that I can sit back and say, all right, fine, you got me, is staying away from Bednar after the 42 pitch save.
Oh, yeah.
On Wednesday. Okay, great. That's logical. I understand. Then again, if David Bednar called from the bullpen phone and said, I'm fucking ready to go, he's coming in that game. If I'm the manager, I don't know. Like, we put all this stress on pitch counts and usage, and at the same time, it's like, does it really matter though? Because you've used Tim Hill more than any other reliever in the league, and that doesn't seem to make a difference. What? It's just because David Bednar is a bigger name than Tim Hill, so you feel better about using a $1.75 million reliever who's on the back 16 of his career, and you don't want to put Bednar in a bad situation for potentially suffering an injury because you control him through 2026. Like, give me a break. And the Leiter Jr. thing was just like, you look at how you even compare the two side by side and you say, all right, Leiter hasn't pitched in a while and he's coming off that injury, but also Devin Williams literally can't pitch here. I am at a loss either way, but I know that if I bring in Devin Williams, everybody's going to flame me and I'm going to further put him into hell. At this point, you sit here and, I mean, I know we dislike Devin Williams because since the beginning, this hasn't felt good. Came in, somehow changed the facial hair policy, had bizarre body language at spring training. Another monotone Yankee who comes in is like, yeah, I got to be better about this, or yeah, no, it's cool to be here. Like, this is fun. And a guy who's just like completely touches down, completely uninspiring on all fronts. But like, you got to feel bad for him at this point. Not only is he playing terribly, but his manager is hanging him out to dry. And it's now happened 2 outings in a row after it was overdue 3 outings before that. So Aaron Boone's simply not doing his job, because if you're going to tell me you don't have anybody else to go in that situation, then you're out of your mind. You'd be better off going for Luke Weaver for another inning to see if he can get 2 quick outs. Because again, we're sitting here looking at pitch count. Oh, we threw 18 pitches. Can't possibly go another inning. Oh, but last year he was a 2-inning guy for how long? Now we're just changing that. Now it's nope, can't go 2 innings with this guy because we've already dictated that that's not going to be the case. So it's more so just, I don't know what the guardrails of the managing situation is. Michael Kay went on his show over the weekend and was talking about how this is exactly how the Yankees want Aaron Boone to manage the team, how Brian Cashman wants it. I don't even understand what that means. Like, he's like, he wants him to be buddies with the players and handle the players with kid gloves and all this stuff. And I'm like, why is that what the organization wants? Why is that anything that they prefer? Is it because they have a scapegoat? But like, is he really a scapegoat if he's going to be here for a decade? Or is it just a giant waste of everybody's time, from owner Hal Steinbrenner to Brian Cashman in the front office to the players on the field to the best player in the league and Aaron Judge to a rehabbing Garrett Cole coming back from Tommy John surgery to the fans paying money to go see these games? Like, I don't understand the logic as to why now this is the preferred managerial strategy and how we went from Joe Torre to Joe Girardi to this. Like, that explanation doesn't make sense to me. But, you hear Boone talking in all these post games. You see him in the dugout befuddled at every decision that goes by the wayside. And there's just no excuse for any of it. Again, it's become national news. Yankees making errors go viral on social media. Aaron Boone doing something dumb goes viral on social media. Cashman trades, misses, whatever you want to call it, go viral on social media. Yankees fans losing their minds goes viral on social media. So this is the tipping point. We're going to be here. It's going to be part of history. I don't know when the proper decision is going to be made, but this team is not making the playoffs. And again, if they do, I'm not counting sneaking in as the third wild card and getting boat raced by the Astros in Houston as a playoff appearance. The Yankees will. They'll say, oh man, look, we've finished with a winning record and we made the playoffs yet again. And they'll put the feather in their cap for that. Nobody else cares because it's not. Look, they viewed the 2021 season as a success because they got to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And it's like, that was the worst playoff team that limped to the finish line and squandered every last opportunity possible in order to put themselves in a better position. And then they got absolutely destroyed by a rival that they lost a tiebreaker to because they couldn't beat the 60 win Athletics at some point. And this is, the longer they go on with this, again, I say it every episode, it's getting annoying now, but it's like, how many different iterations of the coaching staff and the roster do you need to know that everything else is the problem? You could bring in an entire new fleet. You can keep Aaron Judge, Garrett Cole, Max Fried, delete everybody else, start, MLB The Show franchise and pick whoever the fuck you want. It won't matter. It just simply won't matter. You look at Max Fried now, completely falling apart. It has to do with the people that they choose to pay a lot of money, and then whatever the fabric is, like the cultural fabric of this organization. We've been saying it for years, and this could be it. This could be the final straw.
I think the biggest issue is you've got people out there rooting for them to miss the playoffs, and I can't begrudge you to be, I can't begrudge you for not caring.
I get being that angry.
Yeah. I get being that angry, but I do want to caution everybody that, okay, how much you're going to gain. Right now you're in the playoff bracket, right? What are you going to gain from being 2 or 3 games under 500 at the end of the year? They're going to fire Aaron Boone because of that? I mean, I hope so. I hope so for your sake, for sure. But there's no way to get to 70 and 92 at this point. Like, the worst thing that's going to happen is they're going to get edged out for a wild card spot. They're going to blame bullpen injuries and Cole and Clark and Heel and Judge's injury and having to bench Stanton and missing Stanton. And they've got a lot of preloaded excuses. And I don't see a world, just because I'm conditioned to, they've broken me, where I think of Aaron Boone as unfireable because they think of Aaron Boone as unfireable. Yeah. And that stuff, the stuff they said about, he's managing the team exactly the way that they want him to, I do believe that is the case. It's no excuse for the in-game shit to never get any better 8 years later, but I do believe that portion of it.
How the organization wants him to manage the way.
Yeah,
I just don't even understand. I'm trying to still understand what that means.
Well, I'm
Like,
trying to still understand why he wasn't
don't-
fired after 2021 or
Yeah.
2022. Two prime opportunities to fire him. And then he had legitimate excuses for the way that 2023 went down. And last year, I think until you got to the World Series, it was hard to be upset with the job that he did. But then, of course, he puts Nestor Cortez into game one after 2 months on the shelf and he blows it. And then this weekend, he was unwilling to put Mark Leiter Jr. in a game after time on the shelf, an August game in which he really needed extra arms he could count on who weren't Devin Williams, in which Mark Leiter Jr., if you asked him, there's no way he was like, yeah, I didn't want to go in. You know, that's chancing it. You know, Mark Leiter Jr., for all of his faults, is a bulldog. Yeah. There's no way that if you approached him in the dugout, he was like, Boone made the right call. I was scared to pitch in that game. Give me a break.
Yeah, it's just I don't understand any of it. You look at this weekend was insulting to me on so many levels. So like you have the Friday night game, and that was just as agonizing as it could possibly get because you once again lost another extra innings games at home. It never ends.
It's not a crusher anymore, but like that one, the way that they fought back in the middle of the game and the way they once you get that to the bottom of the ninth, with a chance to walk it off, once Weaver is so good in the top of the ninth, it's like, all right, now this is actually, like, I wasn't thinking about
crowd
this.
Was into it.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about this one because I saw how lifeless they were early and they're facing Hunter Brown, but actually you guys went and took it. You got it now, so now you can walk it off. You have a chance. You have 3 batters right here to walk it off. 8 pitches and all pop-outs. Like, once that happens, you're right back in give me a fucking break mode, and then in comes Devin Williams to again, like, insulting. I went to bed Friday being like, insulting Aaron Boone's trying to get himself fired. Like, are all of these going to sound too harsh when I wake up in the morning? And I woke up and I felt the exact same way. It was legitimately insulting to the players on the roster, the paying customers, and fans across the country and globe. It's legitimately insulting to use Devin. It's insulting to Devin Williams to use him in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, if we speculated earlier this year that the Yankees wouldn't maybe remove him from the closer role because they owed something to him, but at that point they removed him. They acted quickly and they said, "We don't owe you anything. You are killing us, and we need to make a change." And then they give him the closer role back because Luke Weaver went on the IL for 10 days, and now he's just not relinquishing the closer. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. But back to my point was about this weekend being one giant insult. You have Friday, and again, on Friday, you give up a lead. You give up a homer in the first inning to Jose Altuve. So that happened twice this weekend because this team is nutless. They go into all these games and they let the opponent take control over everything. And Yankees fans too, like, you're still booing Altuve. Like, keep doing it, morons. It's just going to keep motivating him. You've seen it happen for, I don't know, 7 years now. If that's not going to change your approach when this team is coming to visit, then literally, I like it's just mind-boggling. But you have Friday, and then Saturday's Old Timers Day. Old Timers Day. Did anybody enjoy that? I mean, I enjoyed it in terms of like the messaging, but like, did it seem like everybody was there to like celebrate this team or like, you know, I know a lot of them were happy to be there. They were talking about the organization as if they were still a part of it, which I actually thought was really cool. But everybody was shitting on this team. Willie Randolph said nobody's scared to playoffs anymore. Like, we need to be a fearful opponent again, and we've gotten far away from that. Andy Pettit on the broadcast, being as blunt as possible. Roger Clemens on the broadcast, being as blunt as possible. Jorge Posada said the team needs to have a chip on their shoulder. They need to have an edge. They can't be everybody's friend. So, like, all these guys come in, and it's a celebration of the 2000 World Series team, which, again, was not a great team by any means. 8th best record in the league that year.
September, you'd be losing your mind. But they got some benefit of the doubt. I think they finished 3-15. They got some benefit of the doubt because, I don't know, they won the 96, 98, 99 World Series, and we've seen them do it before.
Yeah, but, I mean, that team had at least some sort of identity with being able to handle high pressure moments, October, whatever it might be. I know they had a late season slide there, but they managed to get on the other end of it. And even if they had won one playoff series, that kind of would have felt like a success with the way that season had went. But like, you look at this iteration of the Yankees and you're like, we're sitting here and we finished the first half and we were like, I don't know if this team like has a chance anymore. Like, I don't know how many more I don't know how many more weeks they can go by with letting this continue. They have let every loss get worse than the last. They have not made any meaningful changes outside of the trade debt. Like there's guys to bench here. There's players to move around. There's players to discipline. There's a million things to do. They're not doing any of it. Their top players are not stepping up when they need them to. I know Aaron Judge has been injured, but he's having a tough go of it right now. I feel like Ben Rice and Giancarlo Stanton are the only meaningful hitters on the team right now. I'm not sure if that's an exaggeration, but Jazz has completely disappeared. Dominguez is the worst I've ever seen him. Cody Bellinger's on a bit of a slide, but for the most part, he's had a really good year, so it's hard to even get down on him. Austin Wells is literally unplayable. I don't know how much longer they can go on that. Anthony Volpe is back to exactly where he was. He had a great week after the All-Star break because he got some rest, and he's been completely useless over the last 14 games.
Well, he tied the game on Friday night. Oh, no, wait, he actually didn't because Devin Williams stayed in and gave up a 2-run homer to Taylor Trammell. Never mind. Sorry.
So you have Schlittler on Friday night, which I'm not going to give the kid any grief for that. I understand. That's a tough spot to be in. You give up the homer to Altuve. He ends up going 5 innings though, and only 2 earned, which to me is a massive win.
Fine.
Luis Gil has a really good Saturday outing, but again gives up a leadoff homer to kind of suck the air out of the stadium.
And all these starts are 5 innings long. It doesn't matter if it's Luis Gil or Cam Schlittler or Max Fried or Carlos Rodon. Everybody goes 5 innings these days.
Yep. And the most objectionable outing was Max Fried, and Max Fried has completely erased all of the good that he created in the beginning of the year. His first 11 starts were tremendous. His last 13 are awful. Seems 3-7 in his last 10 starts. He has a 6 ERA since the beginning of July. He has a 4.5 ERA in his last 13 starts. Giving up a first inning home run to Jose Altuve as a veteran of that caliber, knowing that this team needs to keep the semblance of momentum going and to that have not be the only thing that happened and you do it. It's just I don't even know what to think about anybody anymore. Not harshly grading Max Fried's season. There's still almost 2 months left and he's in year 1 of an 8-year deal, but if you want to play he became the stopper in April and May. That's great, man. When literally the Yankees don't take the regular season seriously at all. That's been a theme for about 5 years now. But if you can't take the first 2 months of the season seriously and then disregard the rest. And that's exactly what's happened with them. I don't know if there's an underlying injury here. It would absolutely be the most bonkers outcome if Max Fried is suffering to this extent because of minor blisters and because the rest of the team is floundering around him. That's not the job of the job of a starting pitcher is so much more than that. So you go 5 innings, 8 hits, 4 earned and a walk. That's just no. The answer is no. The answer was you to step up because that the offense is in a bit of a rut. That the Yankees are stupid and they're going to not put Giancarlo Stanton in the lineup because of Aaron Judge having to be at the DH, and they're going to keep Jason Dominguez in the lineup, which is a change that they need to make right now. But your hottest bat is out of the lineup because he can't play the field or because the Yankees are not allowing him to play the field. And then you put forth that dud, and it's just no, unacceptable and just not it. You've had 12. If you combine the 12 starts in a row, you still have over almost a 5 ERA. This was the start to get right. You didn't do it. So it is what it is. Again, the entire team, every player letting the bad play cascade, letting their individual performance cascade, and there's no stopping it.
Again, huge win on Saturday that came with a 20-minute span where you thought they'd blown another unforgivable game. So definitely didn't have a great Saturday, but they do win a baseball game. And Trent Grisham is so clutch again. And they hear all that criticism. Hopefully they heard it from the, Hall of Famers and legends and team icons and, Hall of Fame closers tearing their Achilles. Hopefully they heard all of those quotes. And they go into Sunday's game with their ace on the mound against a journeyman throwing 85-mile-an-hour slop. Not to say that, baseball is baseball and any given Sunday and anyone can beat anybody, but sometimes baseball is like basketball where like you have an ace on the mound and you're facing a slop thrower who doesn't have a single pitch that should be able to handle your lineup. And you just need to say, we're not losing today. Like, sorry, we're going to take patient at bats. We're going to build up this guy's pitch count. He's going to throw 3 1/3 innings, and then we'll go after the middle parts of the bullpen. That's what the old Yankees used to do so well. You might not even get the offensive output that you want. Like, you might score a run or 2 in those 3 2/3, 4 innings. But you'll get this guy out of there, and you'll get another crack at the people who come behind him. And the Yankees just sleptwalked through a game that Max Fried took the momentum of Saturday's game away with a first-inning Altuve home run. Took the momentum away again with 2 quick outs in the third, giving up another Altuve hit to extend the inning and a Christian Walker double. Then put himself in a hole. And yes, there was a bad non-strike 3 call before he gave up the 2-run double in the 5th. But who cares? Put yourself in that situation. The bases are already loaded. You got to get an out. You're putting yourself at the mercy of a borderline call. So, you'd love to have it, but you don't get it. And then, you got to make a pitch and you don't. So 4-0 and the game is over against a guy that the Yankees probably should have forced out of the game. Everybody embarrasses themselves by the end of this one. Cody Bellinger with that flip throw, that's going to get gift forever and ever. Yeah. Jason Dominguez running back in the warning track, doesn't really seem to know where the wall or the ball is. Or
doesn't know where the ball is at all, ever. Has no idea.
I mean,
he made that one great catch against the Rays. Everyone thought that was spectacular. He almost overran it. Like, he made that big of an extension of a catch because he took a shitty route.
Not a single person looked good in this baseball game. And again, they beat up the Astros the last 2 years during the regular season. Gonna firmly go ahead and say no one cares. Yeah. And like, Yankee fans, if you want to clap back and say, oh, the Astros, like, they don't own us anymore. That was no. They own us until we win a playoff series or a World Series against them. Yep. Point blank, bar none. That was a great Juan Soto sweep to start last year. It was good to go 6-1 and 5-2 in those 2 seasons against Houston in the regular season. That was great. I'd rather win than lose. But Astros fans calling themselves your daddy and you trying to counteract that by giving regular season stats for the past couple of years, not going to work, my friend. Does not matter. They have, you can get on the Astros for a lot of things. Not punished by Major League Baseball, right? Not adequately. Never apologized. Or pretended to apologize in 2020 right after they got caught. And then again showed yesterday that they're not contrite at all because there's Carlos Correa doing the don't rip off my jersey celebration. So Carlos Correa lied to you in 2020. The Astros lied to you. They pretended that they were sorry that they did what they did, but they were just sorry they got caught. And they proved it again by bringing up the buzzer stuff and all the allegations that they claim are not accurate. We weren't thinking about that. Been a long 6 years, but they still think you deserve to be reminded of it. They're not contrite at all. So reminder, and nobody asked Carlos Correa what he was doing with that celebration, by the way. Not a tough question. Hey, Carlos, was that referencing the controversial Jose Altuve closed jersey? Why'd you decide to do that today? What meaning did that have to you? And also, what was Jose Altuve doing in 2019? Now that we're back on the subject, why was his jersey closed? Was it a bad tattoo? Was he shy? Those excuses make no fucking sense. So still waiting on the real one. I don't think he had a buzzer on him, but I know that I don't know the truth. So I wasn't thinking about that at all, but now I am because you did it. It's just, many reasons to hate the Astros, but we beat you guys up the last couple of regular seasons doesn't counteract any of that. No. I don't like the Astros at all. They own you. They do. There's nothing in the bylaws or the charters that says the Yankees have drawn any closer to erasing the past by having a couple of good regular seasons. And the guys who always torment you and taunt you did it again this weekend. The Twins let Carlos Correa go there for free, although it wouldn't have mattered much because here come the Twins this week. So if he wasn't on the Astros, he would have tortured us on the Twins. Yeah. So I guess you don't really get to escape shit there. But Correa's back. You had to give up like a 6 ERA reliever to get him back. And now he's in swagger mode, and Altuve, dominates you, and Astros fans get another feather in their cap. Although, again, they don't really care that much. They only care that you care, and you're bent out of shape about it, because they care about October, which is where they have the edge, mental, physical, forever and ever until the Yankees win one over them, and still waiting. I think we'll still be waiting at the end of this year as well, because just circling back to people rooting against the Yankees making the playoffs in general, I can't do that. I can't root against them every day. I'm a Yankees fan, so when they lose, it makes me upset. It's not fun. But if anybody at this point thinks, oh, all these blown leads and bullpen meltdowns and manager malfeasance and disappearing offense, that'll probably correct itself when they get to October and have to play road games in hostile environments. They'll just get hot. Those people are insane. So if they miss the playoffs, there's the clearest silver lining of all time. I don't have faith Aaron Boone's going to get fired, but I know I'll be spared having to watch some torturous playoff games against teams I don't like, in which the Yankees do not play well. So that'll be fine. I'm in the mode where whatever happens is fine. I root for them to win every day because I root for the New York Yankees. But when they lose, not if they lose, it'll be like, okay, well, great. Then I guess we're one step closer to not having to waste my October on watching them do what they've done all regular season long in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, those people who think that the play will turn around in October, those people work for the New York Yankees.
The stakes are higher than they are now. And right now, they look like trash in most games that matter. Yeah. So I don't know what anyone thinks is going to happen.
I think Joe Torre summed it up on the Saturday broadcast in the best manner possible. And I think he was being both honest with his philosophy, with how he managed games and how he approached certain situations. But I also think that it was applicable in terms of calling out Aaron Boone, the front office, whoever. He talked about analytics, which, you know, anytime you mention analytics, people freak out on either side. You know, the analytics defenders are saying, oh, you know, you're just a boomer, you don't want to pay attention to old stats. And then the analytics haters think that any bit of information is detrimental because you're a nerd and you like math equations. But Joe Torre literally said, analytics, I don't live and die by them. Information is good. Information is great to apply. But in a game where randomness rules all, you can't be married to analytics. You can't be married to rigid strategies. You have to be able to adapt on the fly and go with your gut and, you know, ride with a certain player or make a tough decision in a certain moment that's going to either stop the bleeding or keep the momentum rolling. I think the one reference was it Jeter batting leadoff in the 2000 World Series? I think it was like
he made a nice mid-series switch there.
Yeah, and Jeter hit a home run in that game. Walked out to the batter's box and said, "I got this." Homers. Obviously, like, again, that was a different team. Those were the dynasty years. It was a very special time. A, to be alive, and B, to just experience that because they pressed all the right buttons with building that roster and keeping that group intact. But if you have an all-time, you know, Hall of Fame manager who works in the commissioner's office and who is kind of revered by everybody in Joe Torre saying this on the broadcast, like, I just don't understand how this organization doesn't get a clue. I don't understand how, like, the thing that bothers me the most about this team is that they had the formula. Like, they had a winning player in Derek Jeter. They had a roster that was very diverse with different personality traits and young players and veterans and good pinch hitters and good defenders and good utility. Like, all of that was part of what the Yankees of 3 decades ago did. And it wasn't, I'm not going to say it was easy to replicate, but it definitely wasn't that hard to replicate because you had all of the same people in place. Like, Hal Steinbrenner was still around, probably learning from his dad. Brian Cashman was in the front office starting in 98. Even though he wasn't influential in building those teams, he did supplement them. He still deserves credit for supplementing them. I don't personally give him credit for any of those World Series because the building blocks were in place and it was like, you know, you just stepping in to rule for the next 4 years and you know, you just needed to not have disastrous sequences occur and you would have been fine. And that's essentially what happened. So it's crazy to me that those two people, Hal Steinbrenner and Brian Cashman, were there to witness everything that went down. And Cashman was, I think, with the organization since 92, if I'm not mistaken. It was like that early on. So yeah. I don't know how you have in this day right now, two of the most powerful people in the organization fully deviating from a plan that had worked, that they saw unfold, work in front of their face, that they saw bring success to the city, that they saw in their in the previous regime's practices, whether it was drafting, whether it was scouting, whether it was trade deadline practices, whatever it might have been. And it almost seems like just an ego play where it's like, no, I'm going to try like this different way now, and we're going to see how it works. And it has not worked for 25 years. It hasn't, because 2009 does not count. That was a spending spree orchestrated by George Steinbrenner at the end of his life. The Yankees spent $1 billion. They pressed the right buttons with the free agents they signed, and they had some other guys under club control, and it all worked out. So it came together. That was not a situation of rebuilding a team from scratch. That was not a situation where it was like, oh, our draft successes and our shrewd trade deadlines and our shrewd scouting delivered this to us. It was like, no, you bought all really good players where you had deficiencies, and you overspent, and you got the job done. Congratulations. Like, that is what a big market behemoth is kind of designed to do. And is it easy? No, it's not easy. But like, if you compare that happening to what has happened ever since 2010, the Yankees have not spent like that, and they still refuse to spend like that. Also, this was pre-luxury tax days, so I know that obviously weighs a little bit differently. But you have zero homegrown prospects outside of Aaron Judge. You have more detrimental trade deadlines than helpful ones. You have more misallocation of free agency funds than smart ones. So, like, and you want to talk about personality of players, like they threw that out the window, because if this team had a semblance of a personality, this wouldn't be happening years upon end. Like 2022, they almost blow a 15 and a half game lead in the division. 2023, yeah, Aaron Boone gets an excuse. 2024, they start the season 40-18, and they finish 5 games over 500 for the rest of the way. This year, they start, what was it, like 40-22 or something?
42-25 is as good as it got.
42-25, and they are 19-25 over their last, or 19-26 over their last 45 games.
20-31 since a high water mark. Again,
Yeah.
we're talking about the worst team in baseball for almost as long as they were the best team in the American League.
And the Yankees will look at, the crazy part is like, again, they had all these processes in place. They had the successful formula, and they will look at this season and they will say, oh, we are more like that first 2-month version of how we perform than we are of this version. And everybody just looks around and they say, why do you think that? Because if you're closer to that end of March, April, May version of yourselves, then why is this even happening? Why are you now the worst team in the American League after being the best? That is not, if you were to actually do any type of math there, that means you are a mediocre team. That means you are middle of the road. You were the best at one point. You are the absolute worst now. That evens out to being directly in the middle of the pack. So that gets me the most upset, because they'll lean on the fact that they performed well, and they'll say, oh yeah, this is what we're supposed to play up to. And then they look at when they're playing the worst out of anybody, and they're saying, oh, well, this is just a blip on the radar. This isn't real. This can't keep happening. It's almost like Aaron Boone continuing to go with Devin Williams. He's like, looks at it and he's like, well, this can't happen again, can it? Sure can. Like, that's how spirals happen. And that's what we're witnessing right now. So I don't know where the philosophy went awry. I don't know where this all went off the tracks, but there's a clear line. Like, this team has mostly failed in the playoffs since 2002. And in my opinion, losing the 2001 World Series was objectionable with how that happened. But you can't get that. they were bound to lose one in heartbreaking fashion, and they did. But ever since 2002, something's been terribly wrong. Whether it was their inability to finish the job or whether it was their inability to beat an opponent that they, that they lined up with or matched up with maybe somewhat unfavorably. And it's been the same story ever since. And there's been no deviation from the process.
Yeah, no luck, no breaks, and no understanding of the concept of momentum, which is my number one disconnect from just the like analytics or gospel people. Analytics are an incredibly important tool to help you evaluate the decisions you're planning to make. And I think sometimes people demonize analytics and just think it's a bunch of nerds with numbers. And it's actually really helpful to have the full context of numbers so that you know everything you need to know before you make choices. But some people who dogmatically swear by the application of these numbers will tell you that momentum is not real because past performance cannot dictate future performance. And if you've watched sports before, you know that that is not true. There are plenty of opportunities and examples of past performance, especially immediately in the past performance, dictating future performances. Teams going on uninterrupted runs through the postseason because
Steve Pierce, Eddie Rosario, who was the Ranger? Adolis Garcia. Like none of those guys should have been
World
doing
Series MVP Steve Pierce because he had a really hot second half in Boston and rode the wave. Like Craig Breslow was untouchable in the 2013 playoffs. It routinely, if a team gets rolling and gets believing, they can use that to fuel a competitive edge. It's true. And I can't say it's objectively true because you can math out that it's impossible to prove. But I can say from watching sports for 30 plus years that a team getting on a roll is unequivocally something that happens and can wipe out a postseason. And the Yankees do not have the mojo or the juice or the visible teamwork and love and excitement and spark and energy that a team needs to ride that wave. And if you don't believe me, because you don't have the data and I don't either, all you have to do is watch how the team plays and watch the way a team like the Red Sox believes in everything that they're doing. Team-wide celebrations. The Mets last year with the OMGs. I mean, all of this is silly, right? It's silly. Sports are silly. And you can't, if you say, okay, great, well then, find the equation that can quantify mojo and momentum. I can't do it, guys. I know I can't, but that's also not an own or a gotcha. It's clearly something that affects postseason outcome. It is clearly something that the majority of victorious teams have a unified edge, and the majority of teams that are way too talented to look this meek don't. The Yankees don't have a defining identity right now. The Yankees do not have, bravado, swagger. The Yankees enter these big games thinking they're going to lose these big games. And then by and large, they do. They lose series against quality opponents. They have all summer. And I'm not saying that if you start believing, if you bring in a hypnotist or a guru, that this same group of people is going to automatically go on a run and win the World Series. I'm just saying the major disconnect between the people that run a lot of organizations these days and the people that are sports fans is that the people in the room don't believe that there's any benefit towards collective motivation, edge, chip on your shoulder, etc., and momentum. And the people who watch their teams spiral or surge know that it's very real and has a very real galvanizing or negative effect.
Yeah. And that's quite literally the problem. There's no feel. And again, like, I don't know what more of a reminder you need than the first old timers game since 2019 taking place at Yankee Stadium. And like, not a single old timer had a good thing to say about what's been going on. Like, they tried to offer words of encouragement. I know they interacted with the players. That was nice. But like, every time they were asked a question about the Yankees, it was, we need to get back to this. The team is missing this. It wasn't like, oh no, this team has the ability. This team is, not too far away. This team's a couple of tweaks from doing this. It wasn't any of that. It was like, don't know what happened. seems to be a big deviation from what this organization used to represent, and now we're not even close to there. So they got to figure it out. But, Brian Cashman will probably view that as a personal affront to what he's been doing and then, ban Old Timers Day forever now. These guys will never come back. And look, the Mariano Rivera injury tears his Achilles. No better evidence you need than for nothing fucking going right with this team.
Yeah.
So, and that will probably be the excuse for the last Old Timers game.
Well, that'll be the excuse maybe for the second half struggles too. What were we supposed to do? We lost Mo. I mean, we lost Mariano. Obviously he goes down. That hurts. Hembo, our Paul Hembekitis, the ESPN, researcher, the most bullpen meltdowns this season per Fangraphs metrics. The Mets are number 1 at 74. Oh, great news. Oh, the Yankees are number 2 at 73. So, yeah, just bullpen meltdown after bullpen meltdown.
How do you have 74 meltdowns in 100 and...
You can have more than one meltdown a game.
True, wow.
Blow a lead, get the lead back, blow it again, or just get... again, meltdown. But people will say one game doesn't affect the other. It's as simple as the cascading effect of every starter going 5 innings. Momentum is both mental and physical. If you cannot get a starter, people say momentum is as good as the next day's starting pitcher. And that's not just an aphorism. It's science. If you can't get a pitcher to give you enough innings or enough effective innings to save the bullpen, to save you from scrambling, to save you from getting desperate, then you're going to run down in the wrong direction. And that's what has happened to the Yankees. It's not the only thing that's happened to the Yankees. Crazy shit has happened to the Yankees. The Yankees have lost 2 of their offensive players from the trade deadline already, and it's August 11th, right? Austin Slater not coming back till September. Ahmed Rosario ran into a wall and sprained his AC joint. It's kind of crazy thing that seems to only happen to you want to say only happen to the Yankees. It doesn't only happen to the Yankees. It only happens to bad teams, though. Only bad teams have this, you make your own luck, and only bad teams would ever trade assets and Clayton Beeter and Gage Zeal for 2 people who are not participating in the rest of the season. Much like Andrew Benintendi and his snappy wrist in 2022. That happens to teams that are, playing at the wrong end of the pool. Happens to teams that have bad things happen to them.
It happens to teams who go into the year every year with an incomplete roster. Not incomplete where it's oh man, we need a couple of bullpen pieces. We need to see how this shakes out. You go into the season without starters at multiple positions, or you go into the season with guys playing out of position, or you go into a season with not enough depth on the bench, or not enough depth behind guys who clearly can't handle their job, like Carlos Rodon last year or 2 years ago. So that's really the assessment of how this team has handled the trade deadline. Again, 1 good trade deadline, 0 good trade deadlines with Aaron Boone as the manager, 1 good trade deadline since 2017. And that was the last time the Yankees did. Probably that was more exciting. 2024 was not exciting. 2024 was more expected, right? Not in an entitled way. It was just, okay, this team won 99 games. They have Juan Soto and Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton in the middle of the lineup. They are playing the Royals, who haven't been to the postseason since 2015, and they are playing the Guardians, who they eat their lunch every year in the postseason. So, we weren't sitting there being oh, man, this team should waltz to the World Series because they deserve it. It was, no, they should get there because they have 2 of the 3 most talented players in the game, in addition to a number of other good supporting cast members, and they're playing inferior playoff opponents. That said, I know we sat here and we're still an accomplishment, right? They got the job done. They beat those guys. But then the fact that they were able to erase that accomplishment in one fell swoop with how they blew the World Series speaks to how all of this is a problem. Now, if you want to look at this team, this is all I got for the remainder of the way. If you want to look at this team and understand that any changes that need to be made, it starts with these 2 players. Austin Wells can't be the everyday starter. I don't care if you option him at this point. It doesn't really matter. Put him on the IL if he's dealing with a finger issue. I don't know what it is. If he's still playing with this finger issue, it's an objectionable action on his end. It's an objectionable action on the Yankees end.
If there's one thing that make it perfectly clear, I love when players play through pain or try to. If you are wasting everyone's time by getting worse and just decreasing, your performance decreases week after week after week as you're hampered by whatever you're hampered by, whether it's Wells or Max Fried. Like, I have no tolerance for that. Go on the injured list. If you are fighting and can fight and maintain your baseline level of skill, then keep fighting and keep playing. But if you've lost your skill because of the pain, stop. Go get it treated. Give us someone who is healthy.
Yep. And it's, it's not like the Yankees don't have options, right? Like, Ben Rice needs more playing time. Like I said, he's probably the best hitter right now, or has been. He's been one of the most consistent hitters of the year because, again, even when he wasn't hitting, like, one of the few times analytics will matter, the only time he wasn't hitting was when he was getting extremely unlucky, and the stats said that. So it wasn't like he just randomly devolved into a slump and it was like, oh man, another Yankees spiral. We've seen this before. It was like, no, still making hard contact, still putting up good at bats, just not getting the results. And that was Austin Wells last year in the first 2 months of the season. This year, he's hopeless. So don't know what that's going to take, but like, at this point, you could run with Escara, Rice, and cycle those guys in. It won't really matter. It won't make a difference. Like, you cannot get worse than what Austin Wells is doing right now. And secondly, Dominguez, like, just play Stanton in the field. If the Yankees are scared of Stanton getting injured and they're willing to continue to sacrifice but Dominguez is batting. Hang on, I had it up here. Oh, it's Jason Alexander. Damn it. Dominguez is batting, I think, 190 since the All-Star break. He doesn't hit for power anymore. His slugging percentage is 389. Sorry, 197 with a 531 OPS in 19 games since the All-Star break. Still can't hit lefties, so he is not a switch hitter if he can't hit right-handed, so he might as well just hit lefty. His defense is either marginally getting better at times or drastically getting worse. It's a coin flip every single day. You might as well just have Cody Bellinger in left field, Grisham in center, Giancarlo in right, Judge at DH. And if you're worried about Stanton getting injured, like, that's on you. This team needs to win games in order to stay into the playoff race. And if they're not winning games now, doesn't matter. Like, again, not that I'm devaluing Giancarlo Stanton, but Giancarlo Stanton has been injured every single year since essentially he's been a Yankee. The Yankees have gotten by and they figured it out on various occasions. This year, they were the best they've been without him. So, like, I'm not saying he needs to get injured for this team to get better, but, like, if you're worried about him getting injured, like, if you've been paying attention to what has happened over the last 7 years, I understand you want him for the postseason. That's the obvious goal, but, like, you're not getting the postseason if he's not getting everyday reps. So Dominguez should go to the bench for the foreseeable future. He should come into games when Giancarlo or Judge need a day off, and you can cycle that in fine. But giving him 5-6 starts a week, absolutely not. Like, he's completely and utterly useless. He has 9 home runs and 37 RBIs on the year, and 58% of those home runs, 64% of those home runs came in 2 games. He had the 3-homer game against the A's and the 2-homer game against the Mets. And 39% of his RBIs have come in 4 out of 100 games. So the production's not consistent. The power's gone. The walks are down. The strikeouts are up. The competitive at-bats are non-existent. The defense is bad. I don't know what more this team needs to say.
But other than that, stuff's going pretty well. And go Yankees. Well, you got a problem with pretty much everybody on the roster right now. Not going to declare that they can win a big game until they do it, or win a big series until they do it. And we said before the weekend, done making predictions, done saying got to take 2 out of 3, or they will. Said got to survive against Houston, and they did. They won 1 game, which is the maximum you can hope for. Literally every big series, they either in the second half, they either get swept or they cling on to win 1 game. Every game is the tightest game you could ever imagine. When's the last time the Yankees were up 7-1 against a good team? Like, that happens sometimes in Major League Baseball. Every game they play is just the tightest game you've ever seen. They lose 2 or 3 or 4, and they win 1 maximum, or lose them all. So no more predictions. We said they had to survive this weekend, and they technically did. They hold on to a playoff spot. They make the postseason. Best of luck. Best of luck to everyone who has to watch them, including us. If they don't make the postseason, change is necessary. Get some believers in momentum. What happened to, like, Brian Sabian? What happened to all the guiding voices, the people the audit told us to hire? Did they just tell us to hire more? Did the audit just tell us to hire more losers? Because it really kind of feels like the audit was just like, you should hire more losers. Get winners in here. Sorry. Make the old timer sit in the dugout every day and frown at you when you make a losing play. Whatever it takes. We will see you on Thursday, and then I'm going to be away for a week, not watching the New York Yankees on East Coast time, but probably still watching every pitch. Let's be real. I hate what I've been sentenced to do. And we'll see you to wrap up the Twin Series on Thursday, which is an off day, which is, as always, the best day of the week. Off day next Monday, too. Don't get it twisted. Two of the best days of the week in a less than a week span. That'll be incredible. Need it like I need air to breathe. I'm Adam Weiner. You can find me on Twitter at Adam Weiner. Thomas Caranantes. Plackert says he's me, but who is he really?
I didn't even notice that. That's good. I should be you. Yeah. That'd be fun. I'm at Tommy's_take, so find me everywhere if you'd like. At Yanks Go Yard FS is the official Yanks Go Yard account. Feel free to hit us up, yanksgoyard.com. All the written content, plenty of it this month. It's a busy month. Contrary to popular belief, there's a lot going on. And, of course, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel so you know when we're going live. Thursday will be the next time we're going live, 2 p.m. Eastern. And maybe there's another day we have a conniption and we have to go live on a random evening. You never know what's going to happen. But thank you guys for tuning in. This team sucks. There is no hope. We'll keep watching. We'll keep telling you what's happening, and we'll talk to you soon.
This team just sucks. We will see you after the Twins series. The Twins, of course, coming in on a walk-off win over the Royals, and they're coming in with Luke Keyshaw being a prospect who's stolen a little bit of the narrative, and they're coming in with Byron Buxton being healthy for the first time in 2.5 weeks. He'll be playing in this series. So, yeah, Yankees get the best of everybody, and the Yankees give everybody their worst. Is this a big series? Are they going to treat it like a winnable series? Are they going to treat it like a sweepable series? Are they going to play down to their opponent? They're going to let their opponent play up to them. Do they have an up for their opponent to play to? What are the Yankees? I don't know. Whether it's a series big or small, they tend to come up small lately, but maybe everything changes today. Maybe they start taking things seriously. Maybe they don't. Again, no predictions. Let's watch the baseball, or don't. I'll forgive you if you don't, but come and join us on Thursday and we'll talk about it. Until then, take care, everybody.